From number 1 to an 8-point deficit. That's the predicament for Buddy Tompkins and the risk of hard driving in the fight for the 2022 All-Star Points Championship. With this, the penultimate round coming to a close, will the tables turn on the new leader? Up next, the All-Stars look for a victory in the volunteer stage. From the points leader to a scarred second-place juggernaut, there you see, looking a little worse for wear, the Raisin Cane Ram after an incident yesterday in freestyle. Not only body damage, but you see right there the housing was actually damaged. Following a wild freestyle run, the crew had to work all night to get this truck back in action. Now, the rollover itself did not cause the housing damage. That hit you just saw right there was what broke that thing open, and then he ended up rolling it over, and it was actually a mixed blessing this run, because had he not rolled it over, he may have continued on and actually ripped that housing completely apart. He would have damaged the drivetrain, the 4-link bars, and a lot more, but you can see that hit peeled that housing open like a tuna can, and that crew was up all night long getting this truck back together as he rolled it off the track. Again, looking a little worse for wear, but otherwise okay as he went over mighty quick, and that changed the points up coming into today's action. There you see the Packer Fastener Ford took over last time out, now with an 8-point lead on the Raisin Cane Ram. The Raisin Cane machine now sitting 68 points up on Team Toxic. And then you see Miss Get Her Done hanging in there in the number 4 spot with 328 points. Jamie Sullivan normally drives the FTI Torque this week. It's Jimmy Tyndall, the crew chief for that team, filling in for her, and he's been doing a pretty good job so far for his first time competitively driving one of these trucks. He's moved them around, he's very spatially aware, but competition is a whole different story. Right now, though, we're going to get right into action with the best trick competition. There you see Michaela Toluchka, again, 4th in points. She's going to open things up here with this Patrick Chassis dent side Ford with the Mitch Toluchka horsepower in the back. Her father building this engine, helping she and her brother maintain this pair of awesome machines out of Wisconsin. She's looking good right there, not bad, carrying the front end. We will see what she has now for hit number 2 as she tears up the clay with those big old Michelins. Looks like she's going to line up for the rocket ramp. Let's see what she's got. Not much of a run at it, but some good air, a lot of torque in this machine. It definitely wants to get up and go as she's getting used this week to driving with a locker in the front end. She's had a locker in the rear, but they've just changed the front end around, and so she's learning how to drive all over again. A score of 4 for Michaela Toluchka. Definitely showing that she's here to play with the machines in this field now as Jimmy Tyndall gets ready to roll out in the number 5 machine in points, the FTI Torque Ram out of Deltona, Florida. Pitching him over on the nose, definitely getting on that loud pedal. He's not afraid to go after it with that big heartbeat horsepower in the back. The FTI-sponsored Ram, and it looks like he is, well, I thought he was going to line up for the rocket ramp. It looks like he may come over here and pick on the back of this other race lane. Get the horsepower to the ground with those big old Firestones. Nicely done there. Vertical hit. May have wanted a little more out of it, but not a bad move in any case. As we wait on the score. Another score of 4, so he ties Michaela Toluchka here in the opening competition of the round. Our next machine rolls out Corey Snyder with a brand new KB Olds in the back of this machine built by Kevin Stauffer, and he stands it straight up and down. The truck definitely making horsepower here this weekend. It has been a rough 2022 first quarter for them so far. It looks like he's going to line up now for the other rocket ramp, the big black and green Ford out of the old line state, getting some major hang time right there, and he kind of combos it up. Instead of getting on the brakes, he just goes for it and tears off the side of that hill. Corey Snyder trying to step it up here. Early afternoon action here in the Volunteer State in front of the fans at the Appalachian Fair here in Gray, Tennessee. A nice launch. And then again, he could have probably gone the other way or locked it up. He decided not to. A score of 7, taking over the top spot in a commanding way. Corey Snyder serving notice. He is still in this competition. He's the outside hope to knock the top 2 off right now as another big bad Ford Super Duty rolls out, this time out of the state of Wisconsin. Here comes last week's winner, Brandon Toluchka. Now your points leader with an 8-point advantage on Buddy Tompkins in the Packer Fastener Just Get Her Done second-gen machine. Standing it on the nose. He's become known for these two-wheel moves. Look at that, dragging the grill on the ground. He actually touched the fiberglass to the clay. Not wanting to let that points lead slip away from him. He starts off very, very strong. We will see what he has for number 2 as he comes around to set up for his next move. I have a feeling we're going to see another shot at this bicycle. Yes, we will. Getting it up on 2 wheels. He's in trouble, though. Gets past the point of no return. Got a little too far over on the top of the sidewall and dumped it right there. We mentioned last week this being a very inconsistent track, and I think he just fell victim to a very kind of diverse surface that we have out here. It's slick, it's tacky, it's wet, it's dry, a little bit of everything out there, and if you hit the wrong spot, it'll go right on over. I think, though, he let it go maybe just a little bit too long. Yeah, when he steered back into it to bring it back down, the top of that tire actually caught, and it just dragged him on over. But it was a solid run. Yes, score of 9. Leaves 1 point at the top. And remember, last time out here in Gray, Tennessee, he scored a perfect 10 to open the competition. So he's definitely going to make life hard on our final competitor here as we look over the top of the now exposed tubing that's allowed us to get this awesome perspective since there's no roof on this truck here today. Buddy Tompkins out of Geneva, Florida in the Heartbeat-powered Ram called Raisin Cane. This truck is always a blast to watch, one of the loudest machines in competition here, and it's those big zoomies that create that cackle that you're hearing echo through the Appalachian Mountains here under the sun in Gray, Tennessee. Looks like he's going to start off with some two-wheel moves. Let's see what he does. Gets it up there as the shadow is cast on the clay. The Raisin Cane, the Amalie Oil Ram on the nose. He actually touched the grill to the ground as well. Look at him just hang up there. Buddy Tompkins taking it out for a walk. He is not about to let Brandon Toluchka get one up on him here. There's 1 point at the top, and he wants to take it. Buddy Tompkins starting things off very, very strong. He wants to hear it from the crowd. I think that one even surprised him as he put it on the nose and it found this nice little just neutral space. It just hung there, and then he walked it back and forth beautifully. Now, we will see what he can do with hit number 2. He had a rough run yesterday, could not get his feet underneath of him the way he wanted to normally in these competitions. He is either just ahead of Brandon or right on his heels. Let's see what he has here as he comes around to the race lane. Straight up and down, walking it down the race ramp and to the outer boundaries of the track. He had to get on the brakes there as there is a fence right in front of him, but take nothing away from him at all. Perfect run, I believe, right here. If he didn't tie him, we just saw another 10 go on the board. Look at him touch the hood to the ground, not even the grill. He put the upper portion of the top of the hood on the ground, the nose, and dragged it and then just walked it back to start off this awesome best trick run. And look at the score as it's coming in as we get one more look at that wild wheelie. A perfect 10, and he earned it. Buddy Tompkins trying to pick up some points on Brandon Toluchka. He shortens the lead to 7 points on the Packer Fastener Ford as you look at some beautiful clear Tennessee sky. Buddy Tompkins Again, now with only a 7-point disadvantage, doing what he needs to do to try to get back to number 1. He'll take it back to the pit area, and we will get ready for round 1 of racing action. Stay with us. It's only going to get wilder from here.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Monsters Monthly. For up-to-date info, media, and all your other monster truck needs, visit monstersmonthly.com. And by RPM Army. For a wide array of content from across the motorsports world, visit rpmarmy.com, your high-performance fix on the go.
Hey, welcome to Wildman Adventures. Heard the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out of.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter. Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo. Gotta check it out. This week we're going to go down memory lane.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Crush This. For a look inside the world of monster trucks, check out Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast.
A wild way to spend a beautiful day at the ballpark as the All-Star Monster Truck Tour 2022 Championship Series invades Gray, Tennessee in the Appalachian Fair. Here at the Fair Park, we get ready for round number 1 of Chicago-style monster truck racing, sort of a modified Chicago style. You see it's going to be the Packer Fastener Ford taking on Torque in round number 1. The advantage has to go to Brandon Toluchka, but we'll see if Tyndall can pull off the upset, and then Raisin Kane will take on Toxic. The winner of that will face the fast loser, and as you can see, Michaela Toluchka drew the bye into the semifinal round, so there's a very good chance she could end up taking on her own brother, and based on the way things have worked out statistically, we may actually see a rematch of the Toxic Machine and Raisin Kane in the next round, but we'll have to wait and see. Jimmy Tyndall could be the upset story here as he rolls in again his very first weekend in competition. He's been around these trucks for a very long time. He's no novice, but driving one in competition is a whole new ballgame for him. We'll see what he can do here as he takes on points leader Brandon Toluchka and the Packer Fastener. Just get her done. Big jump for the Ford. Probably about a half a track advantage at this point as Tyndall is struggling a little bit right now to figure his way around the corner, though. Better off consistent than upside down or with a broken truck. So Brandon Toluchka going to pick up a rather easy win here on Jimmy Tyndall in the first round. Take nothing away from Jimmy, though. Again, he's the man who's going to fix all this junk when it gets busted up at the end of the weekend for the team out of Deltona, Florida. He'll come around now, and we'll wait and see if he has a shot at that fast loser position in the semifinal round. I'd say with the run he just laid down, it's unlikely, but stranger things have happened, and again, we're not knocking the guy at all. He's coming along quick. Very spatially aware, very aware of the mechanics of these trucks, but one of those guys who's not really worried about it. He'll do whatever it takes to get it back on the track, as you see Stacy Jensen giving the signal to Buddy Tompkins to bring it on out to the starting line for his round 1 matchup with Toxic 2.0 out of Frederick, Maryland. Corey Snyder, the two loudest trucks on the premises, going to go at it, about to rumble the Appalachian Mountains. The big 557 cubic inch KB Olds in the back, built by Kevin Stauffer. He's going to go nose to nose with that big heartbeat horsepower in the back of the what's left of the Raisin Kane Ram. But believe me, Buddy Tompkins has nothing to lose right now in terms of equipment. He's going to run this truck as hard as he has to. to pick up a victory. They had a close race already yesterday with Buddy taking the win. Let's see if Corey Snyder can gain a little revenge here on Buddy Tompkins. Definitely an advantage for Tompkins right now coming out of the first turn. Where do they stand? Snyder picked up the lead just a little bit. Tompkins almost high sides. Pushing the Ram to the final jump. He will pick up the win by about 2 truck lengths, and he takes a wild ride through the end zone. Buddy Tompkins going after Corey Snyder right there, and Corey Snyder probably a little bit stunned right now. May have thought he had that victory. We will see on the replay the final drive to this jump. Watch Tompkins. He just got that thing to settle down. He almost put it on its top. We'll show you on the onboard here in a second, but watch this finish line landing for Tompkins. Landing hard on the right side. There's not a whole lot of shutdown space on this end of the track, and he wanted to get it locked up quick. Get another look at it right here. Watch the early part. Look at it hopping up on the right-hand side. Could have put it on its top again, but he stayed in the throttle and brought it around for a victory and the wild ride through the shutdown area as we will now take a look at our semifinal round bracket. As we said, the Tolochkas will face off here. Brother and sister, the Packer Fastener, Just Get Her Done, taking on Miss Get Her Done. Those two out of Wisconsin will be Raising Cane in the rematch with Corey Snyder in Toxic. So, just like we thought it would work, again, statistically, it's kind of going down how it would on paper, but they are earning it here in the dirt as Brandon Tolochka makes his way to the far end starting line. Guess it's not really far end as they're starting in the middle of the track. He's going to take on his sister, also out of Kewanee, Wisconsin, Michaela Tolochka in the Miss Get Her Done Dent Side Ford with the Mitch Tolochka horsepower in the back and the Richard Midget motor in the back of the Packer Fastener Ford. We will see. Michaela Tolochka can pull off the upset. She's got one racing win on the season already. Let's see if she can do it again. And Brandon way out in front of her right now. I mentioned earlier she's getting used to driving with a front locker, and the truck is pushing a lot more than I think she'd like it, but she'll get used to it in time. She's definitely a competent driver. You can't say anything negative about her driving skill, but right now trying to get used to some new footwear and some new internal parts in that front axle as she finishes up her run and heads back to the pit area. Brandon Tolochka on to another final round, which is something Buddy Tompkins really did not want to see. We will find out if we have another Raising Cane Packer Fastener matchup in the final round. Look at how nice this truck lands and takes off. The Tolochka family keeping those Patrick chassis machines fine-tuned here on the All-Star 2022 Championship Series as our final pairing in the semifinals rolls out. It's a rematch of round number 1, as I said. Toxic 2.0, and your second in points. Points leader coming into last week, Buddy Tompkins. He would love to get back to that number 1 spot. You look over the exposed tubing on the top of the roll cage. The Raising Cane Ram. See, they got the windshield back in to try to cut down on the amount of debris that comes up in the cab with them. We'll see. Can Corey Snyder finally get some revenge? Here we go. We're about to find out. Snyder with a good jump that time, trying to lay a little more horsepower into these corners. Tompkins pushing him right now, though. A lead for Raising Cane into the final corner. Little bobble for both of them. A much closer race, but one more time, Buddy Tompkins will pick up a victory on Corey Snyder. So in 3 races, Toxic 2.0 has not been able to get around the big white Ram out of the state of Florida. Snyder will head back to the pits and get ready for freestyle. Look at our final matchup on the bracket. The Packer Fastener Just Get Her Done Gen 2 machine knocked out Torque in round 1 and his sister in round number 2. It earns him the matchup against Raising Cane, who had to take out Toxic twice. Of course, a much, much closer battle here in the semifinal round race than we had in the first round. So both of those trucks definitely running a lot harder here, and it only gets faster the deeper you go into the bracket. Our final 2 now headed into center track for a little bit of a customary wheel-to-wheel meeting over in front of the grandstands. Look at Toluchka nosing up on him right there. Looks like he's trying to climb the front tire. Now, they've just watered the track while we were looking at that bracket. These drivers were not real happy about it. You can see the shiny spots, the dark spots. This is already a tough track, but trying to cut down on the dust here for the sake of the crowd. It's very, very windy here in Tennessee, so we'll see if this hurts the dynamic here in the final round. The Ford and Ram ready to go. The top two in points battling for more here in the championship. Both of them struggling with the first turn. The Packer Ford sliding way out. Here comes Buddy Tompkins now with a lead. About a truck and a half length advantage as you see the mud flying up on our onboard camera, and a problem in the final turn for the Packer Fastener Ford. Buddy Tompkins doing what he needed to do on a less than ideal track, picking up a final round victory and a few more points on Brandon Toluchka. We're going to take a look at the overall points here in just a moment and see just how much closer Buddy Tompkins is now to closing that gap up and potentially regaining the points lead here on this story. You can see here it's only 4 points now that separates our top two. Team Toxic hanging on in that number 3 spot at 418. He's going to have to work hard here in freestyle, get her done. And the FTI Torque Ram rounding out the field, and it's going to be a tough fight if there's any hope of that FTI machine jumping up a spot, even on Michaela Toluchka, because the whole top 3 are just running away with this thing. Michaela Toluchka really hanging in there. You can't take anything away from her. Probably the toughest spoiler in this field right now. And the FTI Torque Ram trying to find that footing, but again, with 2 rookies at the wheel, it's always going to be a little bit tough, but take nothing away from them. They've been solid here in 2022. Stay with us. We'll be right back to Gray, Tennessee. A little bit of hustling right now back in the pits here at the Appalachian Fair as there's an apparent electrical problem on the Toxic 2.0 machine. Corey and Rico trying to get that truck back out now for freestyle.
Is it really? Okay.
Did your gun fit that?
No, it's actually too big, so it's 3/8.
Would appear that they are repairing a malfunctioning kill box, so we will find out exactly what's going on there hopefully soon as Buddy Tompkins reclocks his sway bars, getting ready for a double throwdown. All-Star Monster Truck Tour Championship Freestyle. Stacy Jensen clearing the cones off the track. Gene Jensen clearing the turn markers. Those big 66s all blown out off of the track. And our first machine up in Championship Freestyle will be the big bad Denside Ford, driven by the, I'm not going to call her a little lady. She has got a very, very heavy right foot. Michaela Toluchka out of Kewanee, Wisconsin, and I said she had a heavy right foot going right for the rocket ramps, straight out of the pits. Just getting warmed up. You hear putting the horsepower to the ground through those big, heavy-duty Michelins. She's headed outbound now. As she'll turn it around, there's a ramp all the way out on that end of the track where they piled up all the dirt from the rain that came in, and they literally had to scrape 1.5 feet off the top of this track to get it down to dry soil. Look at this. She is cutting it loose right now. You can see there's a lot of water still up on top of this track right now from where they watered before racing. They're going to slip and slide around on that until they burn a little more of it off, but she's working this thing to perfection right now. We'll see what else she has in this big Mitch Toluchka horsepower Patrick chassis machine out of the Dairy State. Working her way around here now. Looks like she's going to attack the race lane from the back. A nice hit right there. Not having the issues that she was having out in Spartanburg, keeping air in the tires again with those big, clunky Michelins she's got under. Those things will definitely dig into this soil. Got a lot of side tread on them, though. In fact, they have so much side tread on both sides. When you put them on a lot of these trucks, you actually have to trim what will be the inner edge down, trim the lugs off so you don't knock up against the shock reservoirs and take the chance on bending those, but they've obviously already done that as she works the truck around the red clay here in the Appalachian Mountains. She's going to wrap up the run to the cheers of the crowd. They liked it. A strong start for Michaela Toluchka, and again, a big leap right from go. She's trying to see if she can move up on Corey Snyder just a little bit in this point series right now. Again, really playing spoiler to the top two, but look at that. Score of 18. Not a bad start at all for Michaela Toluchka. Definitely going to make life hard on the people behind her, as they're going to have to go some right off the start to get into the big points. Here comes Jimmy Tyndall now out of Deltona, Florida again. His maiden voyage in a monster truck in terms of competition was yesterday afternoon, and he's getting a wild card kind of thrown at him here as he's dealing with a wet track in the FTI Torque Ram out of the Sunshine State. This truck so far this season has been piloted by Jamie Sullivan out of Christmas, Florida. She could not make it this week. Jimmy Tyndall trying to keep her active in these points so she doesn't lose much ground, as she's definitely a fearless driver. So is Tyndall, but in the back of his mind has got to be that if he does anything to this truck, he's the guy that's going to have to weld on it. He's the guy that's going to have to do the fiberglass work. So we'll see how hard he actually pushes it. He's not afraid of it, though. He's going move to move. The momentum has been good. But again, trying to get his legs underneath of him in a situation he's not been in before. And right there, that kind of move is going to end up hurting him. But again, driving one of these trucks is easier said than done, as Tyndall works his way around this big open space at the Appalachian Fair in Gray, Tennessee, turning this crowd on. And a lot of them have moved up onto the hillside to watch this thing from up high as Jimmy Tyndall wraps up a solid run. Not going to be a winner, but he's had a good 2 days here in Gray, Tennessee. That's probably the first time they're really not going to have to weld on the rear ends of the drive line to get the truck back in the trailer. As Jamie Sullivan has definitely put a hurting on some parts, getting used to driving one of these things. Again, she's not afraid of it, but neither is Jimmy, as he puts a score of 10 on the board. He's going to be 9 points short. The big black and green Ford out of Bethesda, Maryland, being driven by the gentleman out of Frederick, Maryland, Toxic 2.0, and Corey Snyder with a big 557 KB Olds, which just went dead quiet. What is this now? They have had a rough 2022. They've blown an engine already this year. They've now got this one in there, and that truck just went dead as soon as he left his pit stall. You see Kevin Rico down there talking to Corey. And apparently the RII is malfunctioning again. They just put that new one in there and it shuts down as soon as he rolls out onto the track. So a very tough break for Team Toxic. This is going to hurt them tremendously in points. While they get him towed off, we're going to take a break and we will be back with our final two. Stay with us.
Listen up. It doesn't matter if you just watch your first show or you're a longtime fan of the sport and you want to know more about monster trucks, well, tune into the Throttle Out Show on Monday and Thursday nights, live on our YouTube channel at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. You'll get the inside scoop and all the behind-the-scenes footage and monster trucks and soon-to-be all other motorsports. Life is better when your foot is to the floor. So remember, when in doubt, throttle out.
Welcome back to Gray, Tennessee, a very disappointed Team Toxic. You see them sitting over there right now. They're working on that truck to see if they can get back in this thing, but we are now headed for our final two freestylers here in Gray, Tennessee, the All-Star Monster Truck Tour 2022 Championship Series. Here is the man leading in points right now, but only by 4. Brandon Toluchka in the Packer Fastener Just Get Her Done out of Kewanee, Wisconsin. Going right for the big air. You see the rear end skip up. He landed on the roller that was on the starting line for our Chicago-style racing. Some nice hang time, though, for the big Patrick chassis machine with the Richard Midget horsepower in the back. Just getting warmed up. I tell you what, he has got some big, big moves coming in this run. He does not disappoint. He'll get that momentum up, and then once that fire is lit, it's hard to put out. Walking wheelie right there, and he is showing off what a technically adept driver he really is. This guy is tough to beat on a bad day, let alone a good day, as he works the track. Right here, look at this hang time. Off comes the hood. He hit tremendously on the front end. Wow. I think that leap even took Brandon by surprise. That was a hard hit on the other side of that race lane. Going to take a look at the replay here. Watch him again. This was a nice start to this run. He got some big hang time off of these rocket ramps, and then followed that up with a beautiful walking wheelie. He'll show you right here. Watch him plant the rear end, and he just lets it hang there. He doesn't immediately get on the throttle. He just lets the truck do the work for him. Walk itself down, taps the brakes. He's not going to get over there near that fence, not going to have to back it up. Had a good run going, and he chose to shut that down early. Look at this, though. Pitch the rear end up, pitch the nose down, and the hood, the body mounts break loose. A score of 24. Again, he shut it down early. Only ran for about a minute 8, I believe. And look at this. Corey Snyder in Toxic has refired. They've got their problems sorted out. At least we hope they do. As they roll out for their freestyle run, Kevin Rico on the radio with him right now. Corey Snyder not about to let a little problem like that put a stop to his day out here under the sun in the volunteer state. He is going to try to take advantage of a shortened run by Brandon Toluchka, who could ill afford it right now with only a 4-point gap separating him and Buddy Tompkins. Now, keep in mind, the best Tompkins can really do is put maybe 5 points up on Toluchka. So this run right here that Snyder's about to lay down could be a deciding factor in the points chase. As he stopped there for a second, we're worried something might be wrong with the truck, but he lines up a nice hit with that metal shop chassis. You see him catch an edge right there again with this uneven surface. Trying to get that walking wheelie himself he became known for with the old Patrick chassis Toxic. He can still do them. We've seen this truck do them too, but he can't seem to find the footing out here right now. Putting on a solid run, though, in this beautiful machine out of Maryland. The momentum is good. The flow is good. We'll see what he's got in terms of the wow factor in this run. He's laying down a nice one. Taking it easy right there. And, okay, he just shut down again. Now, Snyder shut that one off. You'd see him moving around in the cab, and you see the crew trying to figure out what went wrong. All right, they're calling over the loader. Now there's another problem with this truck. See Kevin Rico go over to check on that kill radio, see if that's malfunctioning again or not. He had a great run going. That's a shame it ended that way, but wow. The problems continuing here in 2022 for Team Toxic, and the word we're getting is he lost oil pressure. Had 0 oil pressure, so he shut that truck down immediately, a score of 21. Had an opening there to maybe upset the points, but wasn't to be as our final competitor rolls out, and a very disappointed Corey Snyder will now stand and watch as what may have been his final championship hopes kind of melt away under the sun here on a beautiful day, but it's been a little bit disappointing for some of these teams as Buddy Tompkins rolls out for the final freestyle of the weekend. And again, he's got nothing to lose. This truck looks awful right now, but there's still plenty of horsepower between the frame rails. About to put that bright blue Patrick chassis with the bright white Ram body on top. What's left of the Ram body to work. Gonna build that momentum up, and then once he cuts this thing loose, you're gonna see a classic Buddy Tompkins freestyle. This guy can put on a clinic. Look at this. Nice hang time right there into a slap wheel as he heads down to the short side of the track. You want to talk about spatial awareness? This guy has probably got some of the best out here on the track. There's a reason he and Brandon Toluchka have been 1 and 2 all season long. If he can find it, this guy will pull a slap wheelie out of anything you put in front of him. Look at this! The guy will risk a roller up and over the dirt pile going the other way, and now you get a good look at that outbound area. That's actually where the pit party was earlier today, and they're using it for freestyle. Hammering on that big white Ram out of the Sunshine State. Buddy Tompkins not going to disappoint these fans out here. He was not happy with what happened yesterday. As I said, though, it was a mixed blessing. Had the truck not rolled over, he could have done some really serious damage had that housing come apart in the air or on a landing. Pushing it right now, though, again, that trademark cackle, that big 540 with the zoomies in the back of the Raising Cane Ram. Look at that hang time off the roller. Blasting back into the track here at Great Tennessee. And he gets shut down. You see Buddy taking inventory. Stacy Jensen walked out there with the radio and shut him off. And you see Tompkins climbing out right now. I think they're... Okay, he had a hung throttle. That's why they shut him down. Very, very aware track crew out here, by the way. They immediately knew something was wrong when he landed. And the RPM just was not quite going down correctly. This was a beautiful run, though. I have to believe This was a takeover run. This move right here was just awesome, hitting the back of that stoppie ramp and just sky wheelie central, and then this massive leap back into the fairgrounds. A score of 29. He takes over the lead. Not only here today will he pick up some very important points with a score of 59, but he will also put himself in position to regain the points lead. In fact, I believe he has regained the points lead with his overall score. The Packer Fastener Ford scoring 50, Toxic at 43, Misgetter Done and FTI Torque there rounding out the field. You can see 10 points apart at the bottom, but look at this. By 1 point, the Raisin Cane Ram is back in the points lead. We've seen this story play out before. These guys cannot get away from each other. Every time it seems like one of them might have the upper hand, the other one is knocking on the door. So, going in to our final weekend, Aiken, South Carolina, it's going to be wild. I guarantee you, you're not going to want to miss that action. Team Toxic, Misgetter Done, and FTI Torque, as always, rounding out the field. They can't seem to get an upper hand. A tough break here for Team Toxic. Hopefully, it's nothing serious. There's a small problem. They'll get it back together. We'll see, though, when we get to Aiken, South Carolina. Thanks for joining us, and congratulations to Buddy Tompkins. We will see you next time.